Okay, another movie and another discussion about the orbs that I have been capturing and what lately I am finding in them. I'll show you with this one. At first, when I took pictures of orbs, this little character I'm pointing to right here looks like a little pea pod. Well, it would show up in the same place on the screen in every picture of an orb that had a lighted part where it would show up. It wouldn't show up in the black area, but it would still be there, I knew. And so I just got kind of used to it. I figured it was something in my computer. It was something inside the camera. Well, now there must be other things just like it inside the camera, because look up here at this one and this one. And sometimes they show up in these orb pictures doubled or tripled. And there's this little creature here. Maybe this is debris in my camera and I don't know how to take it apart and get it out, but it is funny. The properties of it is funny. Now look at this little critter up real close. Looks funny, doesn't it? It's really unusual looking. And there is another of the pea pod things right down here. You see it right there. I'm zooming in on it. There's also this little thing, whatever it is, and this little thing right here. And they could be dust in my camera. I don't know what dust looks like inside cameras. But so often they mimic some of the stuff that is in the orb. Well, anyway, so I just want to explain right off the bat. This is another one right here that looks sort of like it's a pea pod looking thing. But they have affixed themselves in permanent places for now. They do move around eventually. I used to have one rather much like this one, but it would be right about in there in every picture. Well, or else, since this is showing just part of the film, it was over in this area where it's black. That little pea pod thing, kind of shaped like a backward C, would always be right there. Well, now it's no longer right there, but it has reappeared and it's right there along with this other new one. So I don't know what to think of it. Some ways I think they detract from the beauty of the orb, but what they are, well, that's a mystery. Now I want to show you some of the pictures I've been taking, and I got rather close in, and all these things are in their places. So whatever they are, try to just disregard them, because it's the other parts of the picture, the color, the folds and the orbs, all kinds of other things. The little circles that are so prevalent, you see them, I'll go up real close, you see little circles everywhere. And I don't think that's in my camera. It's also very mysterious. And look at this little creature here. I'll bring him in really close. He's weird. That's all I can say. And another thing I can say is, well, they are what they are. That's the only thing I can say. This picture looked like a shadow of colorful stuff came over the orb. And you'll notice the orb isn't exactly round. It's more oblong in this. And then the orbs move, and they can flatten one side and get a color on the ridge. They can develop holes in them. One orb can zoom in and go through another orb. It's really all very fascinating. I like this particular one because it has such beautiful colors in it, of blue and purple, and the way they're all blended together, it's just fantastic art. And then this was an unusual one that fanned out. The orb fanned out like a fan. And the colors this time were different than what I usually see when it fans out. Sometimes it's perfectly white. And other times it has other colors, but this is more like Christmas, you know? red and green, purple, pink, all kinds of colors in there. You never know what color it's going to reflect back to you. And in this one, this is something that darts in and out of a lot of the orbs that I've shown you. I call him Hairy because he's just a little hairy-legged little insect-looking like critter. And I don't know whether he's a piece of debris in my camera like these other things that look like pea pods, because this little hairy character darts in and out of whatever I'm filming. And the light changes, you know, like look at the orb, this orb right here. You can tell it's the orb because of a little telltale line along the edges of it. But then it doesn't stay as a circle with that little line. It can break off like this into colors, and it's very unusual. Here's some activity in this one that is unusual. Let me move it up where you can see it a little better. I don't know what to say about these orbs, except they are what they are. I know that sounds old, but I am exploring looking at them. And this one, now this was unusual. I don't know if you can see. This is orb. It kind of doesn't show up on the screen when you see it, but this is part of a circle. I can see it. It goes around like that. So it has the orb shape. But look at this ribbon-like thing forming in it. And in the next instant, well, you can see it's a circle here, and you see the little line around. Another orb penetrating it. And then that little ribbon of light is further compromised by something coming through right here, which may be another orb. These orbs share their light, and they move constantly, and they seem to not have any problem with bumping into other orbs and just becoming parts of them. Now I want to show you, this is the light source over here. Let me move the camera so you can see this. This is the light source, and as the light is coming forth from the light source, it's already making an orb. And by the time it gets out here, it's already got stuff in it, but sometimes even as close to the light as this one is, it already has the formation of some stuff in it. Oh, I feel so unscientific to call everything stuff and say what it looks like in terms that don't sound very scientific. Be it what it may, though. Here's one, some unusual stuff in it. And there's my little, another one of those little pea pod things right here that's in this corner, the lower left side of my view. And see, sometimes this one that's up here will be partly in the black and partly in the light, but it's there. It's like it must be part of something in the camera itself. But it seems to be growing in numbers, that's for sure. Another picture. All these are pictures I took last night. And I just will go through them because I want to show you a moving orb movie of this orb. And see, this one shows you really how many I have. I have one there, one there, one there. That's 3, 4, 5. I don't know what this thing is. 6. They just have so many of them. It's like, wow, they're multiplying. And then I show, in this one you can see the light source is right here. And as it comes out, it looks like Harry's there right again. And also in this picture it's real easy to see that they come out and they look like quarters. They look like coins because you can see the edge of it. And here's another one you can see the edge of. And it is just so very unusual. And then they come out as colorful the colors will be in them, and sometimes a big gap, a black gap is in this orb. You can tell this was going to be round, but here's this vacant section that's plain, that's black. Don't ask me why. There's a better view of it. It's either losing its color or it's going to get another color in or something. They're always in process. All these orbs I'm looking at are always in process of becoming and becoming and becoming over and over again. And then sometimes they do this sort of little thing where they seem to be feeding into another orb, entering into it. Several of them, one of them, colorful ones. It's amazing. I'm going to say that word too many times, I'm sure. Amazing. Okay, and then sometimes they have crisscrosses of dark lines through them. Don't know what it is. Once again, I'm just showing you what I'm finding. And, oh, here's a good one of them coming out of the light like little coins. And sometimes you see them white, and sometimes you see them full of color. And you see them coming out sometimes exiting the light already full of designs in them. And some people who take pictures with their digital cameras get the white orb that has the little ring around the edge. And it's an orb of a different kind, I think. But sometimes the pictures they get are water that's in the air that the light is shining on. Well, I don't know what to say about that, except that water or dust takes an orb shape, and maybe that's what they actually are anyway, because everything is light. So when we look at dust or water or insects even, we're still looking at light because all things are light. And then sometimes the orbs have a little character like this in it. Now, this little character is tube-like, and even without the camera I can see these kind of things floating in the air on a bright day, or in the room if the light is on. I can squint my eyes just a little bit. They don't seem to be hindering my view, and I don't see them. I do not see them if I'm not wanting to. But if I want to see them, I can look in certain parts of the room where there's a little more light shining, squint my eyes a little bit, and now I see them floating, kind of zigzag in front of me. But I don't think they're in the space in my room. I think they're in an inside space inside of myself. And I don't know about inside of any other person because nobody else is researching this with me. Well, I do have one person named Gerald Bringle, and he's researching this with me. He finds out a lot of stuff by dowsing. And he thinks this that we're seeing is orgone. So it may be that. I'm not saying it is or isn't, because I try not to make absolutes when I talk about this, because really I don't know. But now I want to show you, if I can get to it. Okay, this is the moving orb video I made. I won't subject you to seeing it all because it's like 17 minutes long. But what I'm going to do is move you around fast through it by grabbing this little bar right here. And you won't hear the background. It's mostly just me talking now and then. Talking to this light because it becomes so brilliantly colored, and it's just eliciting emotion from me because it becomes so beautiful. And you see I have all my little pea pod things in there, so bear with me on them because I can't make them go away. Now it starts getting very colorful. At first I was just staying in one spot on the orb, but see this orb changes what's in it as I move the camera and about on the spectrum of light that's in the room. Further away from the light, you get more color. And my camera was doing this crazy thing where it would go into different zoom. Like it would get real small, real big, over and over. See, it got real small there. But actually, when I'm using my camera to make a video, once you start the video, you can't change the magnification. But in the case of making this one, it changed itself, whether I wanted it to or not. But then I got toward the end of this, I started seeing more color as I was moving out away from the light source, more into the darker part of the room. Then these colors started showing up in the orb. And they look real similar to just still pictures I take of orbs. But I will turn it on right here and let you see the movement as it was actually happening. You'll hear me talking now and then. Talking now and talking in this video. Oh, there's where it went real small.
Is that you, Harry?
I thought that was Harry come in because this
Sort of looks like it.
This little flitting piece of light
Could be.
I call Harry jumps into my view every now and then.
There's all kinds of stuff in the light. Things we don't know the least little bit about.
Oh, sometimes I sound so dumb to myself.
I am curious.
I am curious about this light.
Which is funny, a lot of people aren't curious. Humdrum. That's all. Just what to eat, what to wear. That's all they're interested in. They can stretch their imagination. Ooh, there's a bright color. Wow. Move up and down that. Wow. Wow. Gorgeous. Phew.
And I'm just moving the camera around in the part of the room where the light is shining. It's like different spaces in the room carry different parts of the color spectrum. Now that little thing showed up.
I don't know.
Another thingy.
Wow. It's a dark spot. Colorful dark spot.
If you wonder why women call things thingies, because there's no other word.
The light shines. Whoops.
They're
That was bright.
thingies.
What's that? Whoop, whoop. Gotta catch that thing. A little colorful thing there. Whew. Wow.
But I'm going to move on toward, and you see I just capture it at different, I'll start right there. Look at the color in this.
Wow.
Get on towards some more colorful parts of it. My camera kept doing this thing where it would go small and really small and big again. That's a pretty one there. And there.
There's so much movement in it. It's quite extraordinary.
And the
I
trains
don't
coming
think
by.
it should be taken lightly. this light. It thrills me to see it.
Move on. And I just keep showing it. And then I try to film, toward the end, I try to film what I am filming through.
Film it all night if I
Only my camera's on so much close up that it won't
color suited me.
It won't show. I'll show you what it looks like.
Close up.
I'm trying to show you the close-up of what I'm filming through, but all I get is orbs. So, I will show you now what I was filming through. I was using my camera and focusing on a little speck of light that gleams forth from inside this glass, or on the surface of, I don't know where it actually is. But this is all. This is a simple thing, and I want to say this one thing about this experiment with light and seeing all these orbs and trying to get the attention of maybe some particle physicist. And I'm thinking, well, you know, physicists, oh, I have a hard time with that word, they get money for grants for studying things. And I see that is important. But sometimes when you build something like the Hadron Collider, accelerator, whatever that is, that thing that costs gabillions of dollars, well, when you start talking about something that can be seen with something so simple as a camera and a piece of glass, then you're not talking much money needed for research. And they're not going to be so ready to jump on the bandwagon about this were they to see one of my videos, because it sort of like ends the funding. But this is something we as humanity have to make this sacrifice of thinking we need to be always looking out for our jobs. I mean, like, for instance, the Cancer Society. They would be out of a job if they found the cure for cancer. Who knows? Maybe they have, but they won't let it out because it ends their job. And I want to tell you of a time when I was watching a video. It was about these people in their country. There was always war, and there was always soldiers that would die, and there were people who went and looked for their bodies because they removed from their bodies any valuables, which they sold, and with the money they could feed their families. And did they want war to continue and dead bodies to continue being on the ground? Yes, because it was their livelihood. It's like everything in this world is geared for the capitalist system of we need to make money. That's the way we move forward, but it's a backward movement because it's like, let's make this computer or this cell phone or whatever gadget they're now making, but let's build into it obsolescence so that people will have to buy it again, because then we want to make some more money. And then, of course, they have to use more resources and deplete the resources that we have, or drastically hurt them, or pollute the earth searching for the resources, or any number of things they have to do that aren't good, just because of the fact that people want to continue having a livelihood. Well, this is understandable, this way of thinking, but we do have to move away from that way of thinking, because it's leading us down a slippery slope of exploiting everything, not only the earth and all her resources, but people, other people that have to suffer because certain groups of people, they make their money depending on whether you suffer or not. So I don't like the system that is like that. I think we can transform our thinking and start thinking in ways where we think of sustainability and ways to use money in such a way that we're not having to do this sort of thing that is so dangerous to ourselves and to our world. And I think we will. eventually be able to do that. But it's going to take what at first people will think is self-sacrifice, because they have to sacrifice their means of making a livelihood and find some other means of making a livelihood. But most every occupation depends on something going wrong for somebody so that somebody else has a job. And so we think in terms of, if this goes wrong, I can make some money off of you. Or if I have some information that maybe I should share with the world, I'll put it in a book and sell it so I can make some money off of you. And that all has had its proper place. But right now, we're needing everybody to share all the information. And resources, too. When you have ample, or you're really rich, that you own house after house after house, castles maybe even, then it's time to start sharing with those who have almost nothing. And I believe this so strongly. And I hope others will understand what I'm saying. I'm not saying that the rich people are the cause of all of the ills of the world. They're certainly not. There's a lot of really poor people who abuse the system. And then there's a lot of people who are on programs that they deserve to be on. They've paid in their taxes all these years for their Social Security, and now they want to retire in dignity and with an income. And you can't blame them for that. So I'm hoping that in the discovery of what's in this light, I'll come to the place where we learn how to use the light to manifest the things that we need. Because I believe there is a storehouse of pure thought where manifestation of what we think we're in scarcity of right now can be brought forth. And who will do it? Not the ones that are seeing everything in a commercial way, but the ones who are simply very curious and very concerned about the lack there seems to be in this world. And I say the word seems because everything is seeming. We're in an illusion that we create with our words. So I don't want to create more lack by talking about lack as being a real thing. It's a seeming real thing. Like we seem to be in a body, but we're more. We're much more than our bodies. But we can't see that until we learn how to transform our thinking process, not to want everything to be scientifically understood. If you could scientifically understand everything, what would God be but something that you can scientifically explain? I don't think we'll ever be able to do that. But we can experience God. While we can't understand completely everything about God, it's kind of like the question of, does space have an end? And if space has an end, what ends it? And what ends that? It's like an impossible question. So you'll just drive yourself crazy trying to think of the answer to it. There is no answer. Not in the present state of mind that we're in now. Maybe someday, in some future time, we might have the answers. And a lot of us are putting forth thoughts about what we think the answers are, about parallel universes. Even our scientists, the quantum physicists, are talking about parallel universes. And it's all real interesting and nothing to be afraid of in considering it. Yes, it will destroy some old dogmas and beliefs that people cling to dearly because they think that their salvation is at risk if they were to look into this other stuff. And they see this other stuff, even without inquiry into it, they see, oh, it's demonic. But it's not. Everything that is light is a part of God. And God is not demonic. And God is a principle. God is consciousness. God is laws that behave in a certain way, like math behaves in a certain way. All this and so much more. And God is love. And we do understand the concept of love a little bit. But we need to understand that even more. And I hope the light will reveal more of that concept of God being love. And I know God is color. But God is no thing, but He's everything. And God is, like Walter Russell explains, He is the only one there is. We are His imagination, but God is not limited to His imagination. God's imagination is like His playground for a physical experience. And we're part of that physical experience. We're His hands and feet and eyes and ears and everything else. So I will end right here. I think I've talked enough. I hope you enjoy this segment of the folding, unfolding, refolding story of light by the Dove Lady. Over and out.